Okay, we are live in TemplateTab. I'm Alice Keeler. I'm a Google jump in, so I'm not talking to myself. I would love for any chat. I'll wave and say hello. First, I'm going to start off. Lisa, do you use TemplateTab? Do you know what it is?
I am so ignorant. And I just haven't done the dive in yet. So
it's my first one, and it's my most popular. I have 30 million installs on TemplateTab. And so what it does is it duplicates a graphic organizer or templates multiple times for every student on your roster. Or you can use it generically for not students. If you've ever had to make tabs in a spreadsheet, like a bunch of them, it's slow. So you can do it a lot faster by using TemplateTab. And so the way that it works is that you install TemplateTab. You can go to alicekiller.com/coded-by-Alice, or when you go to the extension of Alice Keeler, and it'll come up, and you can also look up TemplateTab.
I have
install it, and it's in any spreadsheet. So once you install it, it's in there. You do setup. It gives you a place where you can put a list of your student names, copy paste, or just whatever you want. The tab name sheet is your template, your graphic organizer. So you can organize it however you want. I'm going to demonstrate this in a second. And then what it's going to do is it's going to duplicate, it's going to create that graphic organizer for every name on the list. So if you have 20 students, you're now going to add 20 tabs, and you're going to be able, and it'll have their name on each. Put up 30 Google Docs or 30 spreadsheets or 30 digital, anything. And I'd rather us collaborate together in conversations around student work, and you know, divide up the book or group, right? To look for examples of irony in their sections or whatever it is your learning objective is. So you're going to crowd has a different set of the entire book to pull all the quotes that they have some to work.
So they'll be able to see all.
Well, it depends. Like, yes, in that particular dig into all students being on this possibly in a digital document, because of course they are not born knowing how to, and just like they don't walk quietly, those standards of behaving yourself.
Right.
Right.
Students that they're not as different from the kindergarten or stuff can be done.
Sometimes adults are better. So, you know, we all can be reminded. I'm just old. I literally would. A lot of us, no matter our age, but regardless. So now, I have different ways to spread it out, right? So you have, then you want to take each tab and put it into its own spreadsheet, because I have my master, my main spreadsheet. Make a copy, it's copied. So any updates don't go to the copies. So what I added is it's going to copy each tab before the students work on it for you, or something that you have on each of the tabs. And it's going to export them out to where the export are going to show up over here on all copies. Now, that sounds really cool. I know I've had a lot of people requesting that, but you have to realize ways to get back to the original spreadsheet and see anything personal that's not a good idea. So you want to export it after you've collaborated on them, or you just want to work on something that has nothing to do with break it up in individual sheets for each of the different
staff too.
So maybe
right with your department.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So you can, and it has so many applications. It doesn't have to be for teaching. Obviously, I'm a teacher, so I make teacher examples, but it's actually great for anybody who uses a spreadsheet. I mean, you can leave the template blank and then just put your list of tab names and make 50 tabs really, really fast where they're all blank, where you don't have to have it as some sort of a graphic organizer or a template. That's going to save you a lot of time. So as I was making my blog post on how to do this dynamic export, so the sheets export out, and then edits that I make in the spreadsheet show up on the exports, right, using the import range. I realized this is really a security risk, and I have a lot of people who say to me, they want to have all the students in the same spreadsheet, but they don't want them to see each other's tabs. It's just like, that's just not
the purpose.
Just not how this works.
If that's what they want to do, then they need to add them as
I get a lot. So then I just had this idea. I'm like, couldn't I just tweak the code a little bit to reverse the export? So it's going to export within that main spreadsheet. So I have for a tab for each one, but the import range is in my main spreadsheet. So the students edit their individual sheets, and then I see everybody's in individual tabs of all of their edits back along. I got someone who's made a comment. Thank you. And to be fair, teaching those sort of low stakes procedures is a great way to build connection and conversation in the beginning days of school. Could not agree more. Totally, I am here for that. Absolutely. Thank you. And anybody else wants to say hello, drop in where they're from, where they're watching from, or ask a question, please go ahead and put that in there. I think if you're watching on YouTube, that you'll be able to go ahead and make comments to them, but I'll keep coming back to chat. All right. My friend, excited to see you here, Carrie. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Can make comments and yummy noises. And the first thing is if you go to alicekeeler.com/coded by Alice, created that have been approved for Google, please install them and please leave me a 5-star review. I would really, really appreciate that. Okay, so coming back over here, we're going to export tabs. I'm just made a blank spreadsheet. I have a blank spreadsheet here. They're really trying to push these tables. Oh, I got it. Go pop up now. In the extensions menu, you're going to see add-ons, and you can get add-ons. So add-ons that you can install. So one of them is TemplateTab. So I already have it installed. It's on a blank spreadsheet. So and I'm going to go ahead and show. So the first thing you want to do, right, it says setup sheet and run TemplateTab. I'm going to set that up. The way this works is whatever the first sheet is your list of tab names, and whatever the second sheet is, version history to wind it back and do it again. So I have a list of names here. I'm just going to do Alice, Nancy, Paul, and of course Lisa and Carrie. Right? Got suggestion to you that we are going to have students look for evidence. I'm going to say page number, quote, and example of part of speech. So I'm going to make this whiter. I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to format it with alternating colors, and I make it a green. And I'm going to set the format. I'm going to turn the wrap to have my alignment to be in the middle. Okay, so now I have this graphic organizer template that students are going to read through their book and write down examples, and every student's going to have this. I'm going to share this with them with edit access so that we can crowdsource, right? I'm going to assign them a section of pages. Okay, cool. So then I come back to the extensions menu, I go to TemplateTab, and I can run TemplateTab from the menu, or I can do it here in the sidebar. So I'm going to run TemplateTab, and then I cannot think of any reason to just close it. It's just letting you know it's working, because maybe you don't notice that it made all these tabs at the bottom. And the reason you don't notice that it made all these tabs at the bottom is because they all look exactly the same, and they're supposed to. So I'm going to come in here.
I actually like that window showing, Alice. Because I like that window showing. I like knowing it's working. I like, you know, I like it.
Oh, wait, you think it never ends. So I'm just giving you a warning, a little heads up. So I've now gone through and changed my alternating colors for every tab, so you can see that I'm on a different tab. I wouldn't normally do that. This is just for TV. Moving is helpful, because otherwise it's very subtle to know that it is working. You just have to close it manually. Okay, so that is at a base level what TemplateTab does. That is free. You can do this anytime with any spreadsheet. It's really great. Now, I do need some support to give me time. I literally spent all week working on code for this. You have a passcode that you can do this for free. So just so you know, it's $5 a year, not a month or anything like that. It's 1 year, $5. So hopefully it's like giving me a tip. And so what I want to do is, you can see here in the sidebars, I have the option to export tabs. So I'm going to do all three options. The first one is static. It exports each tab to a new spreadsheet, and they are static. The next one does it where it does the import range, and the last one does the import range backwards. So let's take a look at those. Let's start with export tabs. So I push the button. And so again, you can close this at any time and make a hot mess. Speaking from experience. So you can see for each tab, it lists each tab on this exported sheet. It's got the sheet name. It's got the link to the exported tab. The sheet ID is for me that I could, well, we'll see what I do with that in the future, but coding-wise, that helps me, and otherwise, ignore it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this sheet for Paul.
Now, I really like the list that I can link straight to, because, you know, Paul's a slacker. He always turns it in late.
Well, it doesn't even matter. Like, I'm not doing this, pushing it out through Google Classroom, so I don't have a nice folder where all my students' documents are in there. So this gives me a way that and you can make notes here, right? You know, so you have all these other columns. You can use them for whatever purposes that you would like to use them for. Right? I don't know. I'll think later of how I can add extra features to that. I keep adding features. But anyway. Right, so now I'm on the Paul tab. This is a completely separate spreadsheet. You see that it now only has one tab. It says Paul up in the name title, and it is Paul's template, and we know that Paul's template is blue. Notice that I'm now going to change Paul's template to alternating colors to be yellow. Two problems here. It's not going to do the formatting no matter what. So if I change the colors, those are never going to match. But here, let me put some information here, right? This is page 6, this is page 128. And I go look at Paul's tab. It made a copy. It made a copy. So it's never going to change. That first option makes a static export, and you're going to find all of those static exports floating around in your Google Drive.
Okay.
And listen, I get it. It'd be really great to put it in a folder, but that is a whole level of permissions that are really scary. And a lot of schools and corporations will not approve it when you use Drive app. So when I
access issue,
Drive, it just becomes so much messier. So to be honest with you, it's so easy. You just go to recent and you select them all and you drag them into a folder. It's pretty quick and easy to do them all at once and to organize it into a folder yourself. Do realize, of course, that by default, everything is private, right? You see this padlock on there. No one can see this. No one can edit it. So you do have to set your sharing permissions on everything the way you want it, depending on who you share it with. So picture this. You do a collaborative activity. At the end of the collaborative activity, then you send it to separate spreadsheets where students can individually update their work without messing around with other students. But you'd have to invite them to those sheets. So, hey, my friend Lisa's here. Hey, Lisa. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate that. She's super cool from New York. Okay, so that is how I can, I'm going to go back to the sidebar template tab, do it where it is static, right? So the next option is I'm going to do this where I'm going to export it. And this is a premium feature. I'm going to export it with dynamic tabs. So it's going to be the same thing, except when I do export dynamic tabs. Can do it. It's doing it. It doesn't have the thing spinning. So this is good for me to test, right? It should have made the exported sheets the active sheet and should have the spinny thing going. So I'll fix that after this call. All right, cool. And you'll notice that I coded these 2 different times. So the way that it formats the dates are different. So I'm going to think about that as well. But now when I go to Paul, it's going to say ref because it's the new thing with Google that you have to allow access when you use import range. So actually, if I try to edit anything, it's going to break. This exported sheet is for viewing. Make sure you give view access because by default it is private, but this is actually an import range formula. So that's what the second button is. The first button is making a copy. You can edit, you can do whatever. The second button is, hey, why don't you take a look at this? And so then if I make edits on here, let me go to Paul tab and I'm going to change this to 297. My quote is, spreadsheets are amazing. And I'm going to come back over here to my import range and you'll see that those updates showed up on this because it has the import range. Here's the thing. Import range is importing the text. It's not importing the formatting. So if I were to change and make this column skinnier, if I change the color, let me change the color, alternating colors, now it's brown. None of that's going to show up on the exported. Import range is only importing the values. It's not importing all the other stuff. It's also not importing extra tabs. So if you add extra tabs to this, those are just like bonus extra. It has nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's looking for the Paul tab. It's updating the Paul tab, and it's just updating the text. So, but so long as your template, you have all the colors and widths and word wraps and all those things set up before you export it, then the formatting will copy over, but then it's done. You can't make any other formatting pushes, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Although I do have an add-on that pushes formatting, but that's different conversation. Okay. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to just go into the version history and I'm going to be like, okay, what did this spreadsheet look like? Does this have names on it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to restore this version. Okay. So this third option is basically running TemplateTab. So it means I'm not exporting tabs I already have. I'm going to create the tabs. So I am going to go, wait, do I have a template? I don't have a template, so whatever. Just picture this. I've got insert, format, alternating colors. Great, I have something in there, who cares? So now I'm gonna go back into template tab and in the upgraded features, this third option, import sheets back. I need to think of better text here. I literally just did this a few minutes ago.
Retrieve.
So it's also,
maybe retrieve,
it's what?
Maybe retrieve.
Yeah, but it creates the tabs, right? So you'll see it's making the tabs down here at the bottom. This also doesn't have the spinny wheel, so I need to fix that. Allow access. It's making the tabs at the bottom, but then it's also has an export. So I'm going to go here to Paul. So here's Paul's sheet, right? And then here's Paul's tab. Now Paul's tab saying allow access. Did you see how this is in reverse? Yep. Import range is in the main sheet instead of being on the export. So I'm going to have to allow access on this end because I'm importing it in here. Yep. And I'll actually have to do that on every single tab because every single tab is importing in a different spreadsheet. Now, this is the import range, so I can't edit this. As the teacher, I can't edit these tabs. Put page number, and I'm going to do the quote and irony, I don't know, whatever I had, right? When I come back, I can see with you. It's like I need more room. I don't want this to be yellow. I'm going to format this to be purple. Seeing, I'm still seeing the original formatting of the template. But as Paul adds, you can see it was a short lag. Import rate quickly. So I can actually go tab to tab and see each student working where they can't see the.
I like that live really well with small group work. It would work really well with reteach.
I mean, you could be in individual. This makes it easy for you to compare and contrast. I can't have it where it shares or emails or doesn't drive because those are just different permissions. Google Sheets and doing things with Google Sheets, I can do features like that. If I add other scopes, it just gets a little bit more complicated.
Very cool, Alice. I really like it.
Appreciate you joining me in on this. If anybody has any questions or wants to add tweaks here, make the wheel spin, but it worked. So that was a lot of debugging I did, so I'm proud of myself. Nobody has any questions? Thanks everybody for joining. I'm online, so you can keep making comments in the video. You can get Keeler, and of course in my Facebook group. And I will see you all later. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alice.